Hi, I'm Chase Stanton. I'm the station manager here at SCTN. Today I'm joined by Cheryl Hoeft, who is involved with Foundation for Saline Area Schools, the craft show, Schools of Rock, lots of things around the community, Weber Bless. And we're going to talk about the upcoming craft shows in November and December.
Correct.
So thank you for being here with me.
Thank you.
So to start off with, craft show is a huge event in Saline. I was kind of wondering, when was it all started? How was the idea formed?
We started 26 years ago. We celebrated our 25th last year. So it was 1987, and it was a fundraiser for my student youth group, which at that time was FHA. I was a teacher here at the high school and advised that group. We were the largest organization of FHA in the state of Michigan with about 300 members, so as a result we needed fundraising in order to substantiate it. So the first year we started at what now is Liberty with a crock pot of soup, and less than 800 went through that year, and 66 crafters. So it's changed over the years. We're now at the middle school, which when I was teaching was the high school, and we've increased it to 250 crafters. Probably one of the strongest factors is that the the entire craft show, the crafters come from 14 different states, which means they're coming here maybe the only time of the year is when they come to Saline, and so people look for them. They come after their product line because it's unique, and that's one of the things that has sustained us through this. The December show is 16 years old. I started that when I retired, and that's a unique format in the sense that it's a Friday night show and that we have a lot of other activities going on.
So how did the whole idea of a craft show come together? You said it was for fundraising, but who said, hey, let's do a craft show?
A parent who was a crafter.
Okay.
Came to me. Her daughter at that time was an officer, and said, I think we should do this. So she gave me names. We contacted those people, and they signed up for the first one. And then it just grew from then. When I retired in 1994 is when I really could put more time into it, because preceding that I was still teaching. And so that's when it grew into the size that we have today, and we expanded, and through the graciousness of the district to the point that we're at now, and that's about the maximum we can be in order to be financially okay with the crafters for the district, etc.
And to kind of give perspective, you said it started with about 800 people coming through. How many people do you think come through now?
Just under 10,000.
Wow. Yeah. So anyone who's been to it and has walked through the middle school knows it's jam-packed full of people, and I mean, there's people everywhere when you go in.
It's jam-packed full of people, but yet, especially I encourage friends and relatives to come at 1 o'clock. That's when I do my shopping. We work through some growth eras and attempted to get crafters to make sure they had inventory for the entire day. So I'd say from noon on is a great time to come. You can walk anywhere. It's great shopping. You don't have to have your nose to the door at 8 o'clock. Yeah. You will find basically the same items at 1 o'clock. And like I said, that's when I do my shopping.
And so you already kind of talked about your involvement. Can you go into a little bit more detail since your retirement and your role with the craft show?
Since I retired in 1994, I asked what we could do to sustain it at that point. And through the district, we came up with the idea of running it through Saline Community Education, and that's where it's at now. All 3 shows are co-sponsored by Saline Community Education. Finances are run through the community education. But one of my other goals was that because I had been so involved with FHA and wanted the students to participate, that this was their service back to the crafters and the community, I wanted student youth groups to be involved. And for instance, during the 2011 craft show season, 28 student youth groups and a few adult groups were participants in the show, from unloading to loading to parking to admissions, and as a result received financial support from the craft shows for their involvement. So you'll see football players unloading, you'll see choir personnel doing the information booth and package pickup, and you'll see a variety of other groups doing all the services that are required, because there's a number of people that are needed in order to keep this show going at that rate.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because like we had said before we started, proceeds go to numerous different organizations, and could you kind of touch on that?
Each group that participates receives a portion of the gate, and that's therefore their fundraiser. Now, if they also, at the December show, for instance, I believe that lacrosse is selling something in addition. If they're selling something, then that's their portion of the show.
Okay.
The food service department is doing the concessions now, so they receive that portion of the show. So depending on what you're doing and depending on how you promote it is therefore the involvement and how many people are required to do that. For instance, parking at the November show is major. We don't have parking personnel on the night of the December show because putting individuals out in that parking lot's a little dangerous.
Yeah.
But at the November show, we need parking people at where the buses pick up on Michigan Ave to parking at all of the schools within the complex, Middle, Woodland, Heritage, and Liberty. So we need individuals there, and we also need crafter parking so that there's a great number of participants in that group.
And so this is something that benefits the whole community. It's not just the crafters that are seeing the benefits.
Exactly.
It's everyone who wants to be involved gets something out of it in some way.
I have a firm belief that there's three parts to any show. That's the crafters bringing their product, the customer coming from our community to buy that product, and then the school providing the facility and all the services that are needed to make the customers happy and the crafters happy.
And so speaking of the crafters, there's a multitude of different things they're bringing. Can you kind of just, it's impossible to mention everything they bring, but some of the different things.
I think one of the unique ones that's really become popular this year are the stone characters, and they are made of stones. The individual is from Wisconsin. She comes from a farm background, and they're picking up the stones in the field, and then they're using metal to make the heads and the feet, and you can put these in your yards. And she has ducks and turtles and swans and all kinds of animals that you can put in your home decor outside for that period. I think in addition, the variety of jewelry that we have is substantial. Things that from metal to ceramic jewelry to leather jewelry, and then the usual beaded jewelry that we think of, both men and women and children, and the variety in prices. Some are beading and some are making their own beads, so that you have a real diversity when you come to the show. And clothing is also something that you see a wide diversity. We used to see totally appliqued, that country look and that type of thing, but we have hand-painted jewelry. We have appliqued jewelry, but more free form and creative, and no two shirts are alike. And you still will find applique, but they're different, and they're cut into jackets so that you can wear them to church and you can wear them to the office, and they are extremely well presented to all sizes, and also for children. And I think children's clothing is another area. The tutus have become extremely popular, but still a family can walk in with 3 girls and walk out with the same outfit because the crafter has them in all 3 sizes, the same fabric, and they're cute. They're not the run-of-the-mill type outfit that you'd find.
And there's also a lot of different holiday-themed things. So if you need something for Christmas shopping or whatever else, there's a lot of that as well.
The holiday part of it, we picked originally the November date based on the football season. Well, our football season has changed since the days when we started 26 years ago. And this was the Saturday between football finishing before we had playoffs and basketball starting, and it was the only Saturday when everybody was somewhat free. So now that's a little different story, but it's kind of the kickoff to a lot of people to their holiday shopping. And they can find things that they won't find elsewhere. And I hear repeatedly, you know, when somebody opens my gift and it came from the craft show, they wonder where I got this because it's so unique, so unusual. It's not something that you see as a run-of-the-mill type of thing, because no two are alike. If it's crafted by a crafter, they're one of a kind.
And so outside of crafts, the craft shows have grown to encompass other events, and the big one is Schools of Rock. Can you kind of talk about how it grew into that?
Schools of Rock was a brainstorming event for Scott Graydon and myself for years. And we finally came up with Schools of Rock 4 years ago. The first funds went to Ellie's Place, and then the last 3 years have gone to the Foundation for Saline Area Schools as a beneficiary. And yes, there is a connection there, but that was accidental 3 years ago when they started doing that. And so we created something, and the staff has just totally become encompassed with it. And I think that's great that they want to participate, they want to be involved, and I thank them tremendously both from the foundation standpoint and the craft show, because having a sellout this year is definitely making it a unique event that to be present at is going to be very special.
And for anyone who doesn't know, it sold out in, what, 3 days?
Yes.
So very quickly.
Yes.
And so I guess just getting down to it, what are some of the dates and times when people can come to both the shows?
The November show, which I spoke of earlier, is on November 10th from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at Saline Middle School. All the shows are at Saline Middle School. And like I said, if you've heard that there's crowds, come at 1 p.m. because that's when the crowds lessen up, parking lessens up, etc. You can park at the old Ford plant on Michigan Ave and bring a bus in, and you can also park at the other buildings, and the buses do a route around for that, and that's a free shuttle bus for that purpose. The December show is December 7th. That's a Friday, so note that's a Friday. We took a kind of leap into not knowing what would happen several years ago, about 7 years ago, to see if converting it from a Saturday show, which is what 99.9 of the shows are, they're a Saturday show, and try to Friday night event, because my firm belief is that after Thanksgiving, your mentality, mind changes. I become totally engrossed in preparing for the holidays. And so we put it on a Friday night, so it was after work. You can stop on the way home. There's activities for children. There's activities in the cafeteria, quilting and other holiday treats. We also have a caricaturist there so that she presents. There is childcare. And with all of that going on, someone can shop and get ready for the holiday season.
And I'm glad you mentioned, the difference in the Friday, but what else would you say characterizes the Saline Craft Show and makes it unique from other craft shows people might have been to?
We're a juried show, which means that we receive the applications. We receive 850 applications for the 2 fall shows. So needing 250 for November and 150 for December, we're only using 400 of those 850 applicants, which means that 450 people are turned away. So we are selecting the best to come to the show and making them present their best product line, and I think that's the importance, and that's why we have been rated as one of the top shows in the state of Michigan. We don't get into the competition with other shows, but I think we're known for the crafters coming from 14 states. We're known for the fact that it's unique crafts, that it's not the run-of-the-mill type of crafting that is occurring at the show.
And so for anyone who wants to find out information, you have a website?
Yes, we do. Saline Shows, with an S on the end of shows.com.
And they can see some great videos by SCTN.
Very true.
Is there anything else you'd like to mention or anything you think people should know?
I just think that it's a great community event. It benefits the city, it benefits the district, it benefits the students because they're responsible for leadership and dealing with the variety of people who come through the door, and the crafters who are here. And everyone is extremely gracious in doing all that, and that's what makes the show. I probably should have mentioned earlier on that the Weber Bliss Foundation, the One Room Schools, Saline Area Schools Historic Preservation Foundation that runs Weber Bliss, does the Crafter Luncheon. And so that's another community group that's coming out to earn money for Weber Bliss, for the curriculum when the classes visit, and for restoration of that building by being at the shows and doing that service. So there's so many different aspects of the show that make it unique and bring specifically to the show a service that makes our show unique and shows what Saline really is all about.
Well, Cheryl, I want to thank you for coming in and sharing information with everyone. For anyone who hasn't been to the craft show, they should definitely check it out because it is above and beyond anything you could ever expect. So thank you again, and thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you.